Welcome to this part of the Python Essentials where we shall talk about Python functions and how to use functions in Python. So functions helps us to execute a particular code when we need to execute it. So we could create a particular function and call the function whenever we need that particular set of code to run. Normally when we print hello world and we run our scripts, you see we just have hello world when we run our script. But we could have this hello world as a function, and if we say, let's say hello, this is this function, and we'll put in this here. So this is how we create a simple function. We say def, this is define the name of the function, we use bracket, and then we put a colon, and then we put in the what makes up the function. This could be a print statement, this could be anything like getting the name of a user to do what have you in your script. So you could have as much script here as possible that is tied to this hello function. But in this case, we'll just say hello world. So if we run this script, it won't print hello world because we've not called the function. So functions only run, this script only run, whatever I put in here only runs whenever we call this function. That is the beauty about function. So to call the function, we just say hello world, and then we put the bracket, and if we save this guy and run it, you see we now have hello world. So function helps us write code and allows us to call that code whenever we need that code to run. So let's say we want to create a function that welcomes a student to mastering backend. So let's say we want to create a variable, say name. I want to create a name variable, say Ray, and we want to create a message or a function that welcomes a user to mastering backend. So we can say welcome function, and we can put colon and say print welcome to mastering backend. So if we come here and call the welcome function, it should print welcome to mastering backend. So we want to welcome the user to mastering backend. So we can say welcome to mastering backend Ray, and we can have welcome to mastering backend Ray. So for every user, we want to be able to welcome them to mastering backend. So we can come here and create a variable called message and say this message is a string data that is saying welcome to mastering backend. And now we can now say we want to print message plus the name. So it will be welcome to mastering backend Ray, and when we change this Ray to something else, we will have welcome to mastering backend whatever this name variable is. So we can just put a space there, and if we click one, you see we have welcome to mastering backend Ray, and if we change this to Henry, for example, we see we have welcome to mastering backend Henry. Then change this to John, and you see we have welcome to mastering backend John. So this is how you create a simple function in Python. Python function also accept arguments by passing in data when we're calling the function and using that data a block of code under the function and returns a value. So Python function can return a value to the user whenever we call the function. So we can say return result and say result is message plus name. So we can take this guy off. So what we're doing is we've created a name variable, we've created a function called welcome, and we are creating a variable say welcome to mastering backend, and we've created the result variable concatenating this message variable plus the name variable to get the result, and we're returning the result. So if we call this welcome function now, you'll see we'll have nothing is coming out in our terminal. But if we print welcome, we have welcome to mastering backend. The reason is because we are now returning a value and we've not called any print statement. So whenever we call a function, say welcome, we are we have access to a data that is returned from the function. So we can say value equals to welcome calling the function, and then we can now print this value by just saying print value. So this would now be welcome to John. So if we come here and say this is peace, we say welcome to peace and all that. We can pass in the value to the function. So we can pass in the name of the user we want to welcome to mastering backend when calling the welcome function. So we can come here and say name, and that's all we need. You can take off this guy. So whenever we're calling the function, we're just passing the name of the user we want to welcome. So let's say we want to welcome peace. We'll have welcome to mastering backend peace. Let's say we want to welcome John. We'll have welcome to mastering backend John. Say we want to welcome Ray. We'll have welcome to mastering backend Ray. So this is how you use functions in Python, and how to create a function and how to call a function in Python, and how functions returns value. So we could have all manner of codes in here. Whenever we call this welcome function, it executes all this code and returns the value that we've defined it to return, and we can have access to the value and print it in our terminal. That is all you need to know about Python functions for now. See you in the next video.